Today's guest is Alessandro Frosali, a man on a mission to help men grow the fuck up, show the fuck up, and lead their lives like it actually matters. From filmmaker and content king to men's coach and retreat leader, Alessandro's path has been all about stripping away the bullshit, owning his shadows, and stepping into grounded masculine presence. He's the founder of Mallorca Men's Club, host of, and I actually had to check this out, the abbreviation of Shut the Fuck Up and Listen podcast, and the creator behind the viral 99 Problems on Instagram series that punches straight to the gut. I've been watching your content, man, and holy shit, I just feel like you're talking to me. Alessandro, welcome to the show, and just let me know what happened in your life that made you start working with men. Like, why do you do this? I haven't seen it in your content, so I want to ask you like straight up.
Yeah, everything in life, there's a wonderful quote or a little section in a book called I Am John, which is really about men and masculinity. And when we talk about purpose or the reason for life or anything like that, he speaks about when you really want to find out what you're here for, have a look at what you have lacked in your life. Have a look at what you missed or you didn't have. And then you'll start to find, oh, I really care about it, the opposite, right? And so for me, at the age of 7, I moved to Australia, and I was born in South Africa, and my father stayed behind in South Africa. And from that point on, I didn't have a masculine presence in my life. I had a very feminine presence with my mother, and I was very close to my mother. And then all of these tendencies of being exceedingly soft and all of this, I've been the most effeminate, very in touch with my feelings, very in touch with emotions, very in touch with creativity my whole life, which is beautiful. And it's a talent that I have, and I'm very grateful for it. But there was not a shred of masculinity in it. And when I got with my wife, there's a certain moment where she said, I need you to be more of a man or I'm leaving. And all of us came, and it was like this huge moment for me. It's the most emasculating thing to be told that by your wife. Because I remember being so fucking angry. And I was just saying to her, like, I have balls. What are you talking about? Like, I'm a man. Or, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I was so angry, like a boy. And it started a journey for me to actually find out what a man is. And I was very grateful because things sort of just like came together at a really beautiful moment, because at the same time, I was running my social media agency, and I had a client who is one of the world's leading people in the fucking world for helping young boys become men. So I was editing his content and building all of them up. Right. So I was like, okay, I actually literally have one source for this already. So I started divulging that. And then I got closer to the actual CEO, and he became really like a good mentor for me. At the same time, I went and lost 18 kilos. So I learned what follow through was. At the same time, I went and read every book in the world about masculinity. And then at the same time, I started a men's group, and I was like, I need to spend more time with other men. I need to feel community. And then I looked back at my life 6 months later, and I was like, holy shit, I'm a different man. And and then loads of people started asking me.
Quick? Was it
honestly
that quick? Like from your wife asking you this?
No, it wasn't that quick. But I mean, I say this as a story because we all have these stories, of our origin story and thing like that. Yeah. But I would say that was the most transformative 6 months. But she said this to me a year and a half before that. And the whole process had been 2 years. And I would say the 18 months before that, 6 months of transition, dedicated, was probably the hardest 18 months of my life. I felt lonely. I felt lost. And her and I'm surprised that we were still together. It was really I felt like I was such a different man. And so for me, how you, the original question you asked was, how did I get into men's work? It's I just looked at myself. And I fixed myself, and then that fixed my relationship. And fix is a strong word here, but there was things that genuinely worked for me, and life changed in really beautiful ways. And then I'm looking at got a men's group of 30 men, and they're asking me for advice. and calling me someone we had this one day where we were saying what kind of animals each person was, and I would always describe myself as like a monkey or a squirrel or something small in this, and all these men described me as like a lion or a wolf or something like that, and I just like went, I've changed. Okay.
Yeah, what a beautiful reflection to have.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned in some of your content that there's a difference between boy and men. I don't know if everybody knows about it. Would you describe like your journey from being a boy to a man, and how do you actually know when you're dealing with a boy and when you're sitting across from a man?
Oh, we've touched on something beautiful here. This was the number one thing I learned from that mentor that I was talking about. So he wrote a model called the boy to man model 30 years ago, and it's in his book, The Making of Men. And he has taught this model to over 400,000 young boys and their fathers through the Rites of Passage Institute, which he runs. And it's perfect because you get to actually see what a boy and a man is in behavior. So basically, he wrote this model that a boy has these specific behaviors, and when we integrate them through something like initiation, we're not getting initiation or rites of passage in modern society, so we have to do it through things like coaching or self-reflection or whatever. But once we've changed these boy behaviors into man behaviors, then we actually genuinely, on the most part, if we're on the path towards it, we become healthy, integrated males. It's not about being perfect in the healthy male like behavior list, but it's about consciously being in the path and knowing where you're at with it, and walking towards becoming these healthy male ideals.
So how would, if you have a checklist for a boy and a checklist for a man, what would some of those lists
sure.
be?
So a boy wants to have all power for himself, right? So it's like, I want the power, I want everything, I want it all for me. It's like, it's for me, all right? So that's one boy thing. But man psychology is wanting power for his community. He wants power, okay, it's not bad to want power, but you use it in order to give to your community. A boy never takes responsibility for when they're wrong, right? It wasn't me. It's not fair. Life is this way. It wasn't me. All right. Man takes responsibility. It's not about pointing why you're wrong, the blaming it on other people. It's like, I take responsibility and I stand in that and I'm okay with that. A boy cannot handle his emotions. There's tantrums. It's like, something goes wrong and it's like, yeah, I'm going to cry about it. And not that crying is wrong. But a man understands his emotion and handles them. Now, this is something that, my mentor never had a very clear thing about, but I've got a lot further in the work that I do, and I genuinely believe we have a difference between vulnerability. Men as always be vulnerable, but then we should go to the next step of actually, once we're vulnerable, we understand our emotions, we hold them, we control them. So that's in the healthy male aspect. And then there's a few others, but the next big notable one is a boy just wants a mother. So they want a mother to look after them, nurture them, praise them, give me approval. Whereas a man doesn't need all of those things. He just wants a relationship with the feminine. And what that means is a lot different. It's a lot different. A relationship with the feminine versus wanting another mother. And that is probably the fundamental of where I find most of my work.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, like rites of passage here. So most men today never had one, as you said. So what actually happens to a man when he skips that chapter? And what would it look like to create one now as an adult?
So we all have to create rites of passages within our lives, and let's demystify what a rite of passage is. Yeah. It's a celebration of change. It's a marking of change. It's this moment, that you transform. And if we're going to jump in an analogy, it's like when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon and then comes out as a butterfly, right? We do that, but we in our lives actually do this process many, many, many times. We do it from child to teenager, teenager to adult, adult to getting married, married to having a kid, kid to when the kids, you can see these transitions and stages. And on each of these stages, when you're starting to feel itchy in your body, like you want to transform and you want something new, these are the moments where we do need these specific rites of passage. So if a man is going to miss his rite of passage, and this is specifically the work that I do, if he's going to miss his rite of passage, a lot of these boy-like behaviors stay within him and they affect his life. They affect his ability to take responsibility. They affect his ability to be present in his relationship. They affect his ability to lead a household. In actual fact, all they want to do is give approval to their wife, but not actually understand who they are and their center of control. They often start lying, and there's tendencies like that. And we get a lot of soft men from this. And not soft only in their heart, and that's a good thing, but soft in that they can't really lead and look after themselves. And I think this is one of the biggest issues that we have in modern society. We have a lot of boy men, and I have a lot of sympathy for them because, as I just told you, I was one of them. And how do we change that? How do we make a rite of passage? Well, the first thing is there are people who do run moments like this and rites of passage. There's a reason why I have my first ever rite of passage retreat for men in Sri Lanka next year, to mark that moment when somebody feels the call to step up into responsibility, and we go through the stages of rites of passage. And if they don't, however, anyone who's listening to this today who has never had a rite of passage, make one for yourself. Reflect on each of those boy areas that I spoke about, and actually really write down, take yourself away for a little bit. And I'll give you the indication of what a rite of passage is. Take yourself out of the world for a bit, maybe book a trip for yourself and go away and reflect on each one of those and where is that showing up in your life. Listen to stories of other men. Then give yourself a challenge. So this is where rites of passage was always in the past, in the past they would go, oh, go and kill a lion. Okay, we're not going to do that nowadays. But what is a challenge nowadays that you can do for yourself that's going to push you? For me, it was actually to try and get a body like Wolverine. I actually literally said that. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for that. And there's loads of other challenges. I've always been good at challenges, but I was never good at the other things. And then the other two parts of it is honor yourself for where you've come through and what you're good at, because every single one of us has unique gifts and talents, and stop looking outside for what is brilliant and what you're good at and all of this, and start looking inside. And the moment you do that, the moment you do look inside, you build a vision for the future. Knowing who you want to be, heard stories from others, reflected on the boy behaviors and that, and then have some kind of symbolic rite or symbolic way to formulate this. So when it's on my retreat, I'm going to run the men through a Sri Lankan martial art challenge, and then we're going to hear stories from each other, and then we're going to honor each other and find our unique gifts and talents, and then we're going to write everything that we want to let go. We're going to burn it in fire, and we're going to create a vision for our future. Now, if you can simulate that for yourself, that's beautiful, and go and do that.
Sorry if I'm totally fucking up the flow here, but I'm such a huge martial arts fan and a UFC geek of rank. I'm a black belt nerd. So tell me about the Sri Lankan martial. What did you say? Sri Lankan.
It's a Sri Lankan martial arts. Yeah. So basically,
so just tell me, is it a fight? Yeah. Will there be a fight? Because I've seen so many men's group on Instagram having these fight moments, and being a fighter for so many years, for over almost 2 decades now, I'm I hope nobody gets injured here.
Yeah, so I'm not going to make men fight each other.
Yeah.
There's this martial art is known as Angampura, which is the way of the peaceful warrior, and they were known as the warriors for Buddha. All right. And it's a brilliant martial art because it's all about strengthening. So they're the kind of men that would punch coconut trees and hit coconut trees with their shins and elbows and forearms so that they could strengthen their forearms. And the skin would just get really hard. And they have this beautiful challenge where they've got 4 men and they interlock their legs, like 4 men doing that in like a star situation.
Yeah.
And then they all together have to stand up.
Yeah. All right.
But you cannot do it if one man's not putting in. You cannot do it if you're not in sync. You cannot do it all together unless you are all part of it, if you're all there. And so there's training for that, there's challenge, and then there's a solo challenge as well.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts about being a man and being able to defend yourself, like being physically capable? Because this is just like my perspective that if I can provide and I can attract girls and I can defend myself, which means I can basically do my 2 most primal needs, I can procreate and I can survive. Those are like really attractive traits in a man. What's your thoughts about that?
I think that's attractive to other men. I think from the work I've done, I've seen that women don't necessarily, in modern day and age, that would have been a lot more important in the past. In modern days and age, it's a lot less important. And in actual fact, the ability to be strong has a lot more to do with follow through, has a lot more to do with doing what you say you're going to do outside of other things. And I think gym, being strong and martial arts and everything like that is really good at training follow through. And if we could then apply the follow through to and this is going to be a weird domestic example, but you say you're going to take the bins out and you take the bins out every single time without actually dropping the ball. And so we're in a different space in modern day and age. I would have 100% agreed with you that in the past, we would all need to be physically strong enough and know enough to protect ourselves in our homes. But I don't see that that's necessarily needed in the modern household. We probably need to be strong for other reasons. Our health,
Yeah.
number one. Like working out is the number one thing that's going to make your life last longer, and the longevity and quality of life. Working out is number one, so you need to do it for that. And you're also going to have clearer peace of mind and everything like that to be able to be a better man. And then number two, it creates that mental fortitude and that strength and to push through. But the simple act of I could protect my child, I could protect my family if I needed to, that comes a lot more from courage than it does from your physical strength in nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. Like this is really different from what I've been thinking about it before, because I've just seen so many men go through martial arts and just becoming more confident on the other end. They're just like more comfortable in their own skin. They're comfortable with touching other men. They're comfortable with touching people in general, because here in Sweden we're in a country where touching other people is really uncommon. So what do you think about like just being comfortable in your own skin?
Exactly.
Being able
I think
to
that's
touch each other, touch
exactly.
other people, touching other men, being in close proximity to other men.
Exactly. I mean, but we need that. Like, I actually, I don't think there's not one or the other here. I think the brilliance of it, the brilliance of working out cannot be understated. It'll give you a million different benefits. I was just sort of making the point that it's not necessarily about protecting the household anymore physically. Because I think America gets a little bit stuck in this, and because instead of actually looking after their body, right, with that mentality, I need to protect my household, then they're going to pick up a gun. And I was like, I'm going to protect my household with a gun. And in the end, protection of your household is nowhere near as important as being present in your household. And I think that's the distinction here. And being present in your household comes from a lot from being comfortable in your body, being comfortable with your life, being comfortable, having a community of men, and in terms of being squeamish about touching men and other things like that, I think that's it's a lot of outdated marketing and stereotypes we've gone through in the last 100 years, which really pushed this narrative of like brotherhood. Oh, that's a bit gay.
Yeah.
I don't need that gay shit. And it's like, let's get past that, because honestly, there's nothing more masculine than having some kind of collective tribe or community with other men.
Yeah, makes sense. And so what would you say, like switching gear here, so what would you say to a man that's coming to you for a one-on-one coaching session? And I hear this from a lot of male friends and acquaintances where I live. Like when a woman no longer wants to be touched by him, they don't find him attractive. What I see, that's something else. But I would want you to like break it down. What is going on here? What is the man not seeing?
Well, in this situation, there's not one way to get to 10. So what I mean by that is like if you want to count to the number 10, you can go 9 plus 1, you can go 11 minus 1, you can go like there's lots of different reasons why we've gotten there. So it's really hard to do a one catch all for what's happening in that situation. But the biggest thing is that never happened overnight.
For sure.
That never happened overnight. And I would always question to every single man. There's a really good friend of mine, who might be starting a business with. It's really exciting. But anyway, he really good in business, really good in a lot of other different things. But then one day, his wife accuses him of rape.
Really?
And yeah.
Right.
And in the Spanish legal system, he has to go to jail for 24 hours, even if you're not guilty. She accused him of rape, instantly got custody of his 3 kids, and she then accused him of raping the kids and kidnapping conspiracies and things like this. And all of a sudden, his whole life turned upside down. He's kicked out of his home. Police took him away, but he never did any of it. And luckily, he's actually just won all the court cases now, literally in the last couple of days, which I'm really happy for him. But it's been a whole long process. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is he told me on the first time that I met him about this whole situation. And I just looked at him in the eyes and I said, what did you do? What did you do in order to get there? What was your responsibility in it? And he was taken aback. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, she did this to me. This is an awful fucking woman. She did this, and this. And months later, he came back and he said, God, you were so right. I have not been present in my home for a long time. She was definitely with somebody else, but I just didn't care anymore because I didn't want to rock the boat. I was just trying to make it nice and peaceful. And I didn't do anything because I knew that situation was wrong for me and my kids, but I did nothing. Now, I am not saying that she is validated in lying and ruining a lot of his life like that. But at the same time, we have so many men that are just okay with the situation because they're too on the back foot of going, I'm not happy with this situation. And it keeps getting worse and worse and worse until the point where she doesn't even want you to touch her anymore. Why was this not a problem earlier? Why did you not be present earlier? I have my suspicions. It's because, you learned that, you don't want to get in trouble, like you might have been told off by parents and things like this. And so you don't want to be told off by your wife. So you just think it's easier. But that's not what your wife wants. Your wife wants a man who's strong in his body, knows himself, knows his wife. And when she's got problems, he will come up and say, I think we got problems. We need to sort this out because I care, because I fucking care about this relationship. But no, he hasn't done that. And instead he's just gone, well, this is shit, but I don't mind. Let me sleep in the shit every single night until I smell like a pig. Like,
so if we are traveling on the road towards getting accused of rape, before that happens, what are the warning signs before we reach that end destination?
I have a analogy which I think will change everything, and I would love to turn it into a book one day. But I teach it first, and I'll be teaching it for years, and then I'm going to turn it into a book. But essentially, we keep thinking in relationships that it is man versus woman. We keep thinking that it's me versus her. This is wrong. This is wrong. It is man, woman, and relationship. There are 3 entities. Now, a man does not owe anything to the woman. The woman does not owe anything to the man. They owe all of themselves to the relationship. And this changes thinking. So you ask about warning signs along the way. Well, a man who is thinking about building a relationship understands that what are her needs and what are my needs? Because if we're both going to be happy on this relationship, we both need to be met. So a man doesn't just give himself all over to her needs. He understands his needs and he knows that they need to be met as well, right? And he steps up for them, even if there's fighting, even if it means that they have to go different directions, because it's not the right ship to build together, right? Because you understand that you're on that same path. And then this changes everything as well, because then when she asks you to do the bins early and you say, but I want to do them late, guess what? It's not about her. It's not about you. What does the relationship need? Okay, maybe we find a middle ground. And then we stick to that. What does the relationship need? And so these warning signs are if you've checked out, if you don't know why you do things, if you just do them because it makes her shut up, if you found yourself in any of those situations, or you just think she's too emotional, so you'll just try and like hide or numb, or if you're finding yourself watching porn, playing video games all day, spending hours on Reddit debating people about whether Snape should be a black character or not, like if you're finding yourself numbing through other means and not present in your household, the warning sign is not outside of you, it's within. You're not present. You're not there. You're not building a relationship together. You're just surviving. And when you're just surviving, or things are going to come hit you one day. One day your wife will accuse you of rape. It won't look like that. It won't look like that. It'll look like something different in everyone's case. But you get a wake-up call later in life, and then you have to deal with it in a harder way.
Makes 100% sense that the signs are within you.
Exactly, because then your ship hits a, if you've got a ship, then your ship hits a iceberg because you weren't looking.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Man, I have to soak that in for a minute. Alessandro, what are you doing to me, man?
Take it in.
Man. Yeah, take it in. So let's talk divorce, because a lot of men, while we're close to it, we're talking about the end of the rope here.
Go for it.
So this is a question I've been really curious about. Is it about picking the wrong person that makes you divorce, or did you just stop showing up as the right man? When do you know that you just picked the wrong person? I mean, when do you know you just picked?
It's both. It's both. So it's both. So in some cases it's one, and in some cases it's the other. But you can share.
Can I just like share one more thing that I hear a lot, that you are in this? This is a belief I hear like a lot all over the place, on the internet, through friends. The reason you are with this person is to heal your inner wounds. Period.
I hear that a lot. You also hear that from like Dr. Gabor Mate. He has this wonderful thing talking about how essentially the person that you're going to meet will be your mirror for the shadows within, and you attract them, or you find them, or you be with them, because they're the ones that are going to trigger the things within you.
No.
Yeah. Now, whether it is that, whether there is an attraction for that, or whether it is simply the fact of being with somebody so close does that within the process of you, I don't know. But that seems to come to light, right? It seems to come to light that the other person is going to bring up these things. Now, to answer your question about why a divorce, in terms of like, maybe that wasn't how the question was stated. Maybe it was more along the lines
If
of
you
like,
picked the wrong person,
yeah,
or
whether you picked the wrong person.
yeah, or did you just stop showing up?
Well, there's an interesting thing that I always see, and this comes from The Way of the Superior Man by David Data.
David
And
Data, yeah.
he's got a wonderful paragraph in there, which I always refer to in my coaching. And I'll always ask this question really pointedly at somebody. Because somebody will come to me with a one-on-one consultation, and they'll do these things like going, "Oh, but my wife, like, she's just this one thing that she does, oh, it just fucking kills me, and I just this fucking thing that she does, and but every time, and then she does this fucking thing, and
Great impression.
They always have the same. I probably had the same fucking thing too. Don't get me wrong. But my wife, she just fucking Anyway, so you got this thing. Everything was so big, so good if she just didn't do this one thing. So David Data would say, "Can you?" Or let me rephrase that. If she never changed, if that one fucking thing never changed,
Yeah.
and she stayed that way forever, would you leave her? Because it's big enough that you would leave her.
Wow. All right.
Is it big enough that you would leave her? And if the answer is yes, go. It is not your fault if you stay. Go. Now, if the answer is no, it's fucking big, but it's sitting at 70%, not 100% of whether I would leave her, then your job is to love her for it instead. You flip 180, because otherwise you have there's no other choice.
Yeah.
There's no other choice. You have to change in that moment, because it's not. You have to accept her for that. You have to accept that fucking thing is part of her. And so for my wife, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I had one of these fucking things. Like, I grew up in a household where there was no fighting. We suppressed our emotions, you know, like we did that kind of trauma. I liked that kind of trauma because you just didn't deal with it, right? And you bottle it up, and then later on you get angry. But so I had that, whereas she had this, like, she had a childhood where they fought, and they were like a Polish family, and they just shouted at each other like strong. And so for me, I used to be so, like, whenever she used to get angry, I didn't know how to handle the anger. And I used to call it negativity. I used to call it toxicity. I used to call it, like, abusive. I used to call it, it's like, oh, she's so great, but then she gets so angry. And when I learned this, it was like, love her for it. Love her for it. And at first, I had to picture her as like an angry fuzzball from like a Sesame Street character or something, you know. Like whenever that anger came, I could just I could see her anger as like this fuzzball, and at first that image just made me smile, and it forever changed it for me. And like, yeah, sometimes men, we do have to, like, quite literally come up with an absurd metaphor to change things. I know a friend who did this. He did this process with his parents because he wanted a closer relationship with his parents, and the way he reframed it was, when they said something homophobic or terrible, he just imagined that they were mentally retarded, and it allowed him to treat them with love and kindness, right?
Yeah.
I can ask you questions instead of abusing you back, you know? You're like, well, why do you think that way?
That's so
And
fucking
that
funny,
helped
man.
his relationship. And then my angry fuzzball of a wife, like, you use these as tools, but then eventually you realize that you weren't actually ever angry with it at all. You just realized that it triggered something within you. It triggered something within you, and the reason it got you angry or you didn't like it was because you didn't know how to handle it. But now that you do know how to handle it, you don't have to think they're retarded or any angry fuzzballs anymore. You just love them. So that's a very long-winded way of saying, let's go back to the divorce. I often find that we get stuck often, again, in the you versus me thinking. in like, but she does this and maybe she's just the wrong person. I'm sorry, but most men grow a spine enough to know whether she's the wrong person earlier on. Know yourself well enough to know whether she's the right person earlier on. And if she's not the right person, fucking go.
Mm. How do you know it's the right person? Because like I hear so many people, friends, close friends, they are having, especially when they're in my age. I'm past 40, I'm 41 now, I have 3 kids, we're still married. So many people in my age, they are getting divorced, and then they're having such a hard time to find another
Mm-hmm.
man or a woman to date. How do you find the right person?
Well, if your problems within the relationship are more reflections of the mirrors and the traumas within yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will find that again in the next one. So stay.
100%. Is that like a fact?
It's simple like that. So if what you are doing together is just hitting up and you have to do self-growth in order to meet it, then it's the right relationship.
Mm.
No one ever said this is meant to be easy, okay? It's not easy. It's fucking hard. But if it's going against, and this is a big thing, is she calling you forward or is she pulling you back?
Mm.
So this all comes from self-discovery. It all comes from self-knowing. And so I think this is a bit in your work, right? It's like if you have confidence in yourself and you have self-discovery and you know yourself, right? You know where you want to go. See, this is the thing. A lot of men, they don't even build a plan for their future. They don't even build a plan for where their ship should be headed. They have no fucking idea. And then they go, oh, I want my shipmate to get off. Well, how do you know she's the fucking problem? How do you know that she's the
Yeah.
problem? Maybe it's the fact that you pointed it the wrong direction.
Mm.
And so until you know where you're going, until you know and you're actually steering towards it, you don't know whether she's the right person or not.
Mm.
Because she might just be wanting to go in that direction, and you're sabotaging yourself and wanting to go in another direction, and you think that she's the problem. So
Yeah.
I think the first things first is stop thinking it's about her. Start thinking of how do I live my life as who I want to be now? And then once you've done that step, you can see whether she's in contradiction to that or in service of that. And if she's in service with that, fucking devote to her and move towards it. And if she's not in service of that, have that conversation of whether she could be with her. And if she can't, you know where you need to go.
Yeah, I fucking love that. And I would also love to dive deeper into this topic with a couple of more nuances. So, if something would happen in your relationship, you would get single tomorrow, would you be looking for things like love languages? What are our nature? What are our goals or lifestyle preferences? What would you start looking for?
Reframe the
Like,
question for me. So if I'm single tomorrow and I had
yeah,
to
if
look
you
for
were
a new partner,
yeah. What would be important? Is it important to check that we both have the same love language? Is it important that we have the same goals? Is it important that we have uh, not the same religion, but religions or spiritual beliefs that are aligned with each other? What are like the important
no.
building
So
blocks?
yeah. So first, let's talk love languages.
Mm.
Love languages change. Love languages are a result of how you were loved when you were a child. And so love languages change when you start loving yourself in different ways. So I just don't believe in love languages are a state of where you are now, not a state of where you've been. And I think it's a type of psychology that is severely fucking limited. And we all just want to be loved. It doesn't fucking matter how. I look at love languages, not important.
Mm.
Not
Really?
important.
Yeah.
That's in the bucket of not important for me because when you love your partner, there's so much more to it. Like that's just like flesh fucking levels.
Mm.
Because the thing is, your love language will change. It'll change. So don't look at the things that will change. Look at the things that will last forever. So what will last forever? There is an undeniable truth in direction, if where you want to go overall, like values plays into this. So I'm somebody that at my core, I want to leave the world better than how I found it. At my core, I want to help people. At my core, I believe in improvement of self so that I can help, right? That's where I sit in my core. My wife follows those ideals. Exactly. Now, we might argue with sometimes the steps on how to get there, but the fundamental cause of us, we've matched on that. So that's brilliant, right? And everything else in between on that one is just fun, like wonderful tension on the boat and how to get there. So I would say values and where you want to go is huge. And then there's an undeniable force of kismet. Sometimes you find yourself in the situation and you don't even know why. And so I often hear this with people when they say that they want to find a partner. Life makes you find each other when you live towards your goals. So that's why I think living towards your goals is so much more important, because while you do it, all of a sudden life just throws that person in your way. And I don't know if you can find them. I don't know if it's a checklist like that.
Mm.
I don't know. And, this is something that anyone can tell you. Anyone will tell you, oh, well, this is what you need to look for a partner. You need to look for this, 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 and this. But interestingly enough, you asked them, how did you find your partner? Oh, it was at a birthday party that I wasn't supposed to go to, but all of a sudden someone sent me a text and then I did. And then the other person, they weren't supposed to go there either, but their housemate got hit by a car and then they had to stay for 2 hours longer. And then they went, oh, fuck it, I will go to this birthday party now. And then they were at the birthday party and they spoke about the fact that this person got hit by a car, and then she went over and helped them. And then all of a sudden they'd been spending time together for a little while, and then they went for a date. And then they just went for like that. Like, you will talk to everybody, and their chances of meeting all come down to coincidence. And so why are we trying to systemize coincidence? What we have to do is live our lives. And the coincidence and attraction of humanity will come to play when we're in alignment with where we want to go.
But I'm like meeting all these friends that are trying to manifest their dream husband. They're having like the biggest lists I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, manifest their dream life, and maybe their dream husband will actually find them.
Yeah. That is so interesting, because I was celibate for 2 years, and I went on first I did a Vipassana retreat, and then I did my own Vipassana retreat out in the forest in Sweden.
Beautiful.
And that was after my dad passed away. I was really close to him, and it was like a lot of sorrow coming up. But I also had like this workshop that I did for myself, which is a Tony Robbins workshop. He has this program called the Ultimate Relationship Program, really old one. But the list was, number one, who do you want to attract into your life? Number two, the list, what do you don't want to have in your life, in your partner, in your dream partner? And the list number three, the most important list of them all, was who do you need to become in order to attract that person? Once I did that exercise, I stopped looking for love. I stopped looking for a relationship. I just focused on my own improvement, my own direction, and it seems like a lot of things just, what do you call it, serendipitously just came together.
There is a force. I don't know. I don't know why or what, and I don't know where we go on religion on this. And it's not religious. It's just fundamental. There is some kind of energy underneath all of it, which shows me that the blueprint is just within. It's within. If you stop listening to outside noises and you just go, what do I need to do today? Then you will move forward. The day I met my wife actually had nothing to do with the day I met her. I met her like 4 months before, and we ended up in a friend group, and I was helping her meet other guys or whatever. And I was with other people. She was with another guy. And then one day, like, all of a sudden, we just connected in the specific moment, and the moment happened. But what I can say is we were both walking towards our paths. We were both found something within ourselves where we're like, I want to do this and I'm going to walk towards this. And when you do that, there's just this undeniable energy that comes towards you. It builds. You get better mastery. I think the process of mastery is really important in this, because you become a human being that is worth something to a community and to yourself. And along the way, everything you need sort of gets given to you. So I don't know whether that means that we're in some fucking simulation and the way to win is literally just follow what's inside you. And maybe that's the programming. You just have to trust yourself. And that's literally the way you gain points. If you want to think about it like that, I think if everybody thought about it like that, everybody would win.
Yeah, interesting point. You mentioned like listening inside a couple of times during our talk here. How important is it for a man to just like meditate or listen inside? Or what do you prescribe for the guys you coach or in your men's group? Or how does it look? What's the process?
Every single time I start a new client, I tell them to go and buy an A4 piece of paper, a book, an A4 book like this one. And I tell them to do stream of consciousness writing. And stream of consciousness writing is this practice where what you're going to do is you are going to write for 3 pages. So Julia Cameron coined this as the morning pages in a book called The Artist's Way. And I did that, and I remember it was brilliant at helping people find creativity, but its power is so much more. It's really brilliant for men. So a lot of men that struggle with meditation, because your head comes in and you actually end up doing the same thing as you always do, but you just do it quietly, which is you just sit down there worrying about the day, worrying about what I should do. Now I'm doing my to-do list, and now shit, and my back kind of hurts. Like, this is a little bit annoying. Like, fucking not many people know how to meditate. Okay, so, and a lot of men, you tell them, put them in a meditating room, they're just going to think. Okay, so how do you get out of your head? Then you look at breath work. Breath work is good, but the buy-in is really low. Like, why? Like, how do you even get men? Oh, that's a bit gay. I'm not going to do that spiritual shit. Like, and so the buy-in is really low. So it's not a very transformative thing. So I love stream of consciousness writing because the whole process is you have to sit there for 20 to 40 minutes and fill out 3 pages no matter what. Now,
right.
a lot of men go, well, what do I write? I don't write. I'm not a writer. And I'm like, good. Do you know what you do instead? You don't try it. This is not perfection. It's stream of consciousness. If you don't know what to write, you say, I don't know what to write. And you keep saying, I don't know what to write. And you keep saying, I don't know what to write. Or you go, fuck. This men's coach, Alessandro, is such a dickhead. I fucking hate him for making me do this. And you keep doing that. I don't give a... You keep going until you reach 3 pages, but something interesting happens. Page 1, superficial bullshit that's going on in your life. Page number 2, all your to-do lists are coming out. And your resistance is coming out, and you want to jump out of the activity and start doing other things. No. When you get to page 3, what's actually fucking bothering you starts coming out. The thing that you've been sitting on for a while that you know is like a monster under the bed that you've been avoiding. You write that on the page and you look at that and you go, shit. Okay, I need to fucking work on that. And so that's the most actionable tool that I can say for men for modern day, because don't get me wrong, I think meditation is stronger. Don't get me wrong, I think breath work's even stronger than that. Don't get me wrong, I think a fucking mushroom journey is even stronger than that. But buy-in is so low on these. And so if we want higher buy-in, to get people to do stream of consciousness writing, and you will find if you do that every day, you'll be calmer, you'll have clearer thoughts, you will get all the mental like worry out on the page. One of my clients calls it the morning vomit, and I fucking love that. It's like he just vomits his shit on a page, right? It's brilliant. So do your morning vomit. And you get the shit out, and he's calmer. And he even told me that he was the one who said to me, like, once I do my morning vomit, I lost my defensiveness with my wife. Because every time when she started saying something to me, like, I didn't have these other thoughts in my head. I already had them on my page. I had more patience. I had more presence. So I fucking love that tool.
Yeah, great tool. And you also like... just said like 20 minutes or 40 minutes, 3 pages.
Well, so it takes around about 20 to 40 minutes, but you have to fill. 3 A4 pages, and you're not allowed to stop until the 3 A4 pages are done. If you do it in 10 minutes, great, but it's kind of physically impossible to actually
All
write.
right. So just to clarify something, it's not that I'm writing and then I'm taking a sip of water or stretching my legs. I just like sit until the 3 pages are full. All right. Got clarity.
And you're
there.
not allowed to edit.
And not allowed to edit. And this should be with a pen.
And it has to be a pen and paper. It cannot be on the computer.
Yeah, let's go old school. I love it.
Well, it's not old school. That's like fundamental. And I think
fundamental.
This is like, Jesus Christ. I mean, we could talk about AI until the cows come home as well, but we've got a lot of opinions on that. But when we're talking about confidence and building within ourselves, we need to do things with our hands. We need it.
Yeah,
we need it.
For sure. I'm with you on that one. So you mentioned like something that could be also strong, like breathwork and psychedelics. So when it comes to healing trauma in your work, how important is that? How do you do it? How does psychedelics or breathwork play a part of the healing journey for men?
Well, I think it's actually not. Psychedelics and breathwork are tools again. And everyone's got a different operating system. Everyone's got a different way that they want to find in. And some people really struggle with their nose, and so they don't want to breathe through their nose. But at the same time, they've been told that a lot of bacteria goes through their mouth. And so then they're going to be in their head when they sit down and do breath work. And so it's not necessarily the one for them. And then some people with psychedelics, they've had so many people tell them that something like mushrooms from the fucking ground are terrible and they should be stopped. And it all starts with, but even if they're in that battle and going, wait, is this right or wrong? Again, it might not be the tool for them. But the fundamental thing that goes beyond all of it, and we've touched on it every single time, the way to heal your trauma is to know yourself. Is to be conscious. Now, conscious is a buzzword. We use conscious like it's we use the word conscious like it's fucking candy, and we use conscious like like ChatGPT uses ultimate, like it's used so much. But when I say conscious, if you know yourself, you are living by you're not living by other people's programmings. I'll give you an example. My wife and I had a conversation this morning because there was we have a couple of friends who the wife started earning a lot more than him, and he then felt them like emasculated by that, and she also wanted a partner. Well, she wanted a present partner, but then it turned into I want my partner to earn more than me, right? And there's 2 very different things on that. Like, I want a present partner versus I want my man to earn more than me. Now, which one of those is a conscious want that's part of you, what you know yourself, or which one of that is an unconscious want, as in a want that society deems or want that somebody else deems? And that was the conversation we had this morning. It was like, we have these wants within ourselves, which some of them we act on a lot of them, sometimes all of them, but these wants within, we need to make sure that we're acting on conscious wants that are actually part of whatever blueprint is within, rather than wants that are from somebody else. Because if you within, we're going to go back to my fucking shipment metaphor, if you are going to be building a life with somebody else, and something comes up like the wife all of a sudden starts earning $1 million a year, you need to have that conversation of, is that the direction we want to go? And if it was about the money, does it really matter if it's him or her doing it? Maybe he can drop his job and support her role here. Or, maybe he doesn't want to do that, and maybe he actually wants to find his own thing. And so he'll help her find the support, and so she'll help him find the support so they can go together. What is that? What is the conscious want? And so in order for us to heal our trauma, to go back to your question, we need to be conscious and coming from conscious want rather than an unconscious want. Unconscious want is what other people expect, what you think other people want, what society deems right, and everything that plays, what your parents wanted for you. Jesus, that's where most of the fucking trauma comes from. What they wanted, whose voice are you listening to? And if you can name whose voice you are listening to, then you know yourself. And that's where things like psychedelics are fantastic to come in, and like breathwork's really good at this as well. If you can get over the hump of it and you can get to a point where you push yourself to it, but like psychedelics will show you they'll literally take you to the room where that person said that thing to you, and then it'll be clear to you in that moment, oh, okay, that's where I got that from. And now the whole point of that is not to be some kind of wank of, I just need to like understand myself. And it's kind of like the same wank of forever being a university student and always doing degrees. Like we can always find a study ourselves more and more rather than doing action. It's not about that. What it is if we recognize those voices within ourselves, we can actually act on the ones that are conscious versus unconscious. So if you hear your mother go, like, you're not good enough, and then in your work, you were taken there, let's say in this mushroom trip, then in your work, when that comes up again and you see yourself, like you're sabotaging yourself and there's, I'm not good enough, you've heard it before. You saw it. Ah, that was my mother. Okay, let me make a different one. What's my conscious one? I am good enough. I just need to prove to myself I'm good enough. Oh, what does that look like? Looks like doing this once, but in a small way, and then I'll do it a little bit bigger, and then I'll do it. Great. Let me do that. And that's how we heal that trauma, conscious versus unconscious.
And you mentioned like the way to heal is to know yourself. Could you share like a story about yourself when you were unconscious and then you came into consciousness? You were unaware of something. You mentioned like when your wife said that you should man up or you should become more of a man.
There's a loads. This is the process that there's a lot of. I'm just trying to see if there's like a specific one that I can speak to. I think here's one. I have always been somebody that's been able to get attention in my life. So like when I was 5, I was a singer, and I would I was just always a singer. I was a singer like for a long period of my life. And getting followers from singing, not a problem. Could do that easily. I was good at it. Great. Then I became a filmmaker. Getting followers in filmmaking, not a problem. I was good at it. And I need this attention. It was always about attention. And then running the social media agency, I was like so fucking focused on the numbers, the followers, the amount of people that would come in. And then my mother told me a story. And she told me the story that when I was on stage as a boy, I would get on stage and I would not look at anyone else. She would see me scanning the whole audience and not being present or focused until I saw her. And the moment I saw my mother, I was able to do the job because I knew where she was and I knew that she was looking at me and I was getting attention from her. And then I went and I was doing a lot of journaling on it, and I was like, holy fuck. The only reason I ever started writing songs was because my mother was in a relationship with one like a fucking famous songwriter, and I was singing before that, but she was so like focused on him that the only way I thought that I could actually get attention was if I wrote songs. And this whole need to get attention is just a programming, and it's an unconscious voice that keeps playing over. It's like, this is the way that you get loved, is if you get attention for how good you are, for what you do and all of this sort of stuff. And once I realized that, fucking changed everything for me. I realized that when I was like funnily, when I was on like 100 followers on this, when I was doing men's coaching, I was like, I'm not doing this for attention anymore. I'm not going to do this for attention anymore. I'm going to do this because I have a mission. And then, funnily enough, everything blew up straight up after.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, do you have kids of your own?
Not yet.
Not yet. Do you want to have kids?
Yeah, we are going to start actively trying in the next couple of months.
All right. Awesome. I hope everything
So it's very present. It's very present for us.
I hope everything goes well. We were struggling 4 to 5 years before my wife became pregnant, so it we don't take a second for granted with our children. So I really appreciate that also. But if you would have, I hope you get kids, and maybe if you get a son and he's 16 and he comes to you and says like, "Dad, what does it mean to be a man?"
Hmm.
What would you say to him?
One of the beautiful things working with the Rites of Passage Institute on all their videos and everything like that, I learned a lot about the process of a boy's transition from boy to man. And a boy needs to spend time with his mother in the first like 12 years of his life, roundabout. Like that's very important that a boy gets that from his mother, the nurturing, all of this, and gets the love from her. But around about 12 to 14, it's really, really important that a boy then spends time with his father. And if a boy wants to be a man, a boy needs to be close to his father and see what his father does and actually be within the world of his father. And that's one of the biggest issues we've had in our society is we send men to work in offices and don't have children anywhere nearby. And so in a way, men become the distrusted figure, become this other figure. And then in our pop culture, we use images of hopeless men like Homer Simpson
Yeah,
and
I hate that.
and that is like the prevailing narrative. And so we either have untrustworthy men or we have idiot men. And our sons are so fucking far away from us that they don't trust us. And they don't want to be like us. And so they want to be feminine. So they want to be this. So they don't want to be anything other than who the fuck they are, which is taking us so far away from who you are, right? And so I would hope if I were to have a boy, which it was really interesting when I was a kid, I always wanted girls. And now I'm like, I really want a fucking boy. I really want a boy. Like, I was like, cool. I always wanted a girls, but I just want a fucking boy. Um, but I would hope that he gets to see me and he can feel close enough to me that he doesn't feel like he has to shun his own self, because 50% of every child is one of their parents. And if they're far away from that parent, they're going to be 50% further away from themselves. And so I really would hope that, yeah, my son would be able to be close to me, but then I would be able to tell him that what it is to be a man, we're going to come back, is to know yourself, but then be yourself and actually have the courage to be that, no matter the adversity. And even if that courage is, fuck you, family, I need to get away from you and I need to go live my own life, go have the courage to do that. If you know yourself and you know that that's the way forward, don't go do that. Be that. That's what I think, what I would hopefully give. And I know that I would have to, like, you've probably already spoken to me, like you can see I get in this coach mode quite quickly. So like I
Yeah.
know for a fact that like I'm like actively preparing myself even without having the kids, that I'm going to have to step away from that and not give that and not tell them what to do or anything like that. But yeah, that's what I would do.
But I think you're well prepared, like asking questions and being that coach position. I think that gives you an advantage as a father and as a, yeah, as just a man in your children's life. And when do you see? Because I've been thinking about this before I even got kids, how I would design a rites of passage for my son. I
Mm.
know my wife will shit her pants probably, but I need to take him away to do something. He's just 9, my oldest one. I have another son that is 3 soon, and then I have a daughter in the middle. She's 6. So how would you design a rites of passage? You're doing it in Sri Lanka. Would you do it the same with your son, or would you do it earlier, like when he's 15, or do a
Yeah, this
vision
is the
quest or
thing.
something like that?
You would definitely do, like, I mean, the way that the Rites of Passage Institute does it is they take their father and the sons into the Australian bush and they go for 5 days with a group of other men, and it's called the Making of Men Camp.
Mm.
And this Making of Men camp is done with all the other fathers. So this is one thing that we always forget. We keep thinking that fatherhood should be directly with the one father and the one son, but it's part of community. In actual fact, men need other examples of fathers too. It's not just the you. In actual fact, it would be better if they get an example of other masculinity because they might align with other people, as much as our egos don't like that.
Yeah,
You know?
I hate that.
Your
No,
son might be like,
I'm.
I like Freddie better. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. No, I'm
um,
kidding. We have
but
great
Freddie aligns with
masses.
who he is, you know. But the
Yeah.
thing is, what I would do, like, I mean, I would love to. I really do imagine myself like starting rites of passage camps for teenagers. When I have kids, like I can see myself like already probably wanting to do things for them. And so I would probably try and create that here in Mallorca and do things like that. But if I'm honest, if that wasn't there, I know for a fact I would take my son and fly to Australia and do this camp because I think something like that is really important. But if I didn't have that, like, I mean, I think that's important to ask. I wouldn't, I'd have to design it. And I don't think the challenge would need to be that. I think you would know your son, right? So what does your son actually, what challenges him? I don't know. It's a hard thing. The challenge is the hardest aspect when you do it on your own, you know, and there's no, like there are 4 elements in a rites of passage. 4 elements. Number 1 is story. So story is easy from son to father is really cool. So like one of the most beautiful things is when your son's at that age, they don't want to be told what to do, but they do want to hear your stories of how you failed. So the first part would literally be telling you stories of how you failed and hearing other men's stories of how they failed. I would get as many dads and their sons at the same age as you can, right? And just tell the stories of how you failed. And then the next part is the challenge, okay? And so that could literally be something along the lines of, it could be anything. It could literally be anything. If he's interested in horse riding, like you could literally do something with him with horse riding. If he's interested in martial arts, you could literally do like a parkour course. You could literally try and run something together. It doesn't really matter the challenge, just something that physically pushes him forward and gets his testosterone and adrenaline up. Anything to get his testosterone and adrenaline up. That's it. And make it. And then the next bit is honoring. So a lot of men have never been honored in their life. You know, the most beautiful thing about an honoring is you would literally, and you could do this in the household if you'd have to, but on his birthday, you would get everyone around and they would all say what is brilliant about him.
Wow, beautiful.
You would literally just take the time one by one and say what is brilliant about him. No fucking ifs, buts, and you should do this better. It's honoring. What do we love about you? And that's one of the most powerful family dynamic things you can do, by the way, is an honoring. And so that's part of a rite of passage too. But then he could also start seeing his strengths. He sees that he has strengths. And then the final thing is a vision for the future. And it would sit with him and go, what do you want? How do we help you make it happen? And not what do we buy you to make it happen? It's like, what do you want? And how do I help you build that vision for yourself? And that would be the whole process of a rite of passage. Now, of course, in a rite of passage, it's usually done away from everyone. You do it in like liminal space, which is like, you know, you create a cocoon, so to speak. Like we talk about caterpillar to butterfly, you're creating that cocoon so they could do it. But there are ways that we can do that for our sons. There are ways that we can do that. And we have to, because we don't have these rites of passage mainstream yet.
Yeah.
But they will be mainstream again. We're going to make them
Yeah.
mainstream again.
Yeah, we're gonna make them mainstream with your
We're going to
skills
make them mainstream.
with your caps.
We're going to make them mainstream again. It's
Yeah.
just, but
Yeah, for
that's,
sure.
we're moving back to that. I'm moving back to that. But if you can do those 4 things, you're really close to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love if you could share a moment of transformation with one of your clients, something that like really grabbed your heart.
It's a little sad one, but it's one of my clients got to me because he wanted to save the marriage. And he only wanted to start. I didn't necessarily want to start with him because his intention was to be there for the marriage rather than for himself. But hey, early on in my coaching career, I needed the money and I'll help him anyway, right? So I'm helping him out, and I start seeing him really apply himself. Like, I gave him one task of like finding all the moments in which he gets defensive. And he told me the next week that he gave me this whole fucking list of moments that he got defensive. But he said those were only in the first 2 days. He said from day 3 onwards, he didn't need to write them down anymore because he actually just stopped being defensive.
Wow.
And I was like, I haven't even fucking done the work with you yet. You just know And he's like, yeah, but like, you literally made me see these moments. And so he would breathe into them. And then we had this another session, which I call the brick session. And in my brick session, we often find how big is the wall between you and your partner. Because every one of us has an unmet need, not an unneed met.
I didn't catch that, by the way.
So it's a little bit of dyslexia coming in there. An unmet need. Everyone has an unmet need. Everyone has some time when they said something and then they got like attacked for it. And I look at every one of those moments as like a brick, right? And then when we put those bricks, like 1 or 2 is fine. You can walk over that and you can still build connection over 1 or 2. But then you get like 5 or 6 and then you're going to have to jump over to get connection. But then you get like 1,000 and there's a wall between you. You're not going to get connection, right? So I did the brick exercise with him, and he came up with so many different times where he hurt her and she hurt him, and it was a beautiful thing. But I told him, if you share this with her, which I want you to, but if you share this with her, she's going to get angry, because the thing is, she's only there at the moment because you've got a kid. And she's already told you that, right? And she's still angry with you. And now you're going to break down this wall, and that's beautiful. But like, expect her to get angry. Okay. And so what happened then was he told her this, and it all came out, and she said, I actually don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. And
After
it was
he did the exercise, or after he was sharing?
After he did this exercise. But the interesting thing was, like, from my perspective, I looked at that and I was like, well, what had happened here was there was so much of a wall, she didn't even know how to tell him she wanted to go. Right? Anyway, fast forward a few months later, this man essentially said to me, I know that I started this to be with her, but now that that's not an option, I see you making me into a better man and I want to continue. And so he kept going with me, and he kept going with me. And ironically, they're actually, for the first time, talking together again and actually looking like they might get back together. But that's not a given yet. But the thing is, the beautiful transformation I saw was this man that was doing everything for somebody else, and then he started doing things for himself. And, there's been other transformations and things like that. I've seen men like build up their careers better. I've seen men get really good in their marriages and relationships. But the reason why I care so much about that one is because there are too many men living lives for other people rather than themselves. And I love to see that change.
Is there a balance there where I live for other people and I live for myself?
Well, here's a beautiful thing. Alfred Adler had this wonderful psychology about oneness and community and giving. And it's when I started this work, I had this sort of, like, I was very entrenched in the rites of passage side. And so I had this belief where I thought to follow one's purpose is a responsibility, And the community to help people follow their purpose is also the responsibility of the community. And for our purpose to give to the community is also the responsibility. So it's this cyclical thing, right? It's this thing where we must give to the community as our purpose, and the community must give to us, and that's its purpose. And that is the way that we move forward. And so can you give over to others versus giving to yourself? If we truly give to ourselves, we are then giving to other people. You see, the difference in relationships is what happens is men tend to believe that giving to other people is to capitulate and not be themselves. That is not giving to somebody else. You are giving them a half man. To just say, oh, I don't really care what I need to have for dinner because, and then you internally think, because if I say Chinese, she's going to say no. If I say Thai, she's going to say no. If I say pizza, she's going to say too heavy. I can't please her. So I'm just going to say, whatever you want, honey. And internally you say, I'm giving it to her. I'm just giving it to her. You're not giving it to her. You're choosing to step out because it's hard. That's not giving. That's capitulation. And so men are distorted in their thinking of if I give all my thinking to my wife, if I give all my agency to my wife, I'm giving my wife. No, you're going to have resentment further in the years, and she's going to have mental load. How's that giving? You're actually hurting her, and you're hurting yourself at the same time. It's so much better to be like, I know her cycle. I know she's in this phase now. Like I've been present enough to know she says she wants pizza, but she's going to be fucking annoyed with when she has pizza, and she's going to be angry. I'm going to go get her a salad, some chicken, a nice poke bowl, even though she says she doesn't want it right now. But I'm going to get that for her. She's going to complain first, and then once she's eaten it, she's going to go, "Oh gosh, you were right, honey. That was amazing."
So you basically need to be a mind reader.
No, you need to know
her patterns.
You know her. If you know yourself, you know her. If you're present, you know her.
Yeah.
You know her if you're present.
Yeah.
And it's like we're just so scared of hurting her that like we call it mind reading, but it's not. Like she fucking knows us. How many times did she put your shirt right in the one position that you like because she knows you're going to forget it in a certain thing? She's not complaining saying I have to be a mind reader to do that. She just does that because you're part of a team.
Yeah.
She just does that because you're part of a team. And that's the thing, back to you versus me thinking. It's like, I have to be a mind reader. It's like, no, the relationship needs this. The boat needs this. We both need to be fed. You have a tendency of not fucking knowing what you want. And I always know what you want. And let me just fucking sort that out.
And then hopefully like your suggestion or you moving forward is embraced. Or as you said, you also said like you might get met with a bunch of shit or
but it doesn't matter what you get. It doesn't matter what you get met with.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing, because the moment if you are on the path of doing it there, this is also where most men fall up, because they go, but I did that once and then she was angry. Well, the job is, the point is not for her to be not angry. It's for you to be okay with her being angry. She can be angry. That's her job. But you are present. You know what you're doing. And that's what she wants from you. Like, I mean, we could talk until the cows come home about feminine testing. Like, the feminine tests a man over and over again, and we fucking fail so much.
Miserably.
We fail, and we just think it's about like, oh, but she's testing me again. She will always fucking test you.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Love her for it and see the beauty in it. And you will see every time you've been tested by a woman, you will go back to the point, and if you ever journaled about it, you'll realize it may be better. She was right.
Yeah. Like this is a great segue into to pick up artistry or attract them females. So the first time I heard about shit tests was through the book The Game,
Yeah.
and that was it made me conscious of a lot of things. But of course, a lot of things is just like sideways. Doesn't make you healthy. Doesn't make you happy. What do you think about knowing how to court women? How important is that for a man? Or are you mostly focused on men that already are in a relationship?
I'm definitely mostly focused on men that already are in relationships. But the thing is, I do have opinions on that side.
I want to hear opinions on this show, man.
I fucking hate red pill thinking.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it.
Can you just explain what red pill thinking is?
I hate any kind of thinking that pits us as enemies. Pits us as enemies. Men and women are the most beautiful intersection of each other. When they're in their purest form, man and woman will always support each other forever. Anything and any line of thinking that goes only, like men are not going to be chosen, any victim kind of thinking, anything that's a weakness in that and going, well, women do this versus it is toxic to the highest degree because it does not create unity, it creates separation. And that is part of a system that in this world, it is the easiest way to make money of us and make us die quicker is if we separate ourselves and tell us that women are the problem or men are the problem. It's the easiest way to kill us all individually. It's by going, yeah, don't rely on each other. You guys are the problem. And then fuck. Then you can sell us whatever you want. You can sell us you can sell us pills just to shut us up. I mean, Jesus, I spoke to a woman yesterday who called me who pretended that her husband was actually going to be on the phone, but she ended up jumping on the phone and it was supposed to be a sales call for coaching, but it was not going to happen then. And she was in such distress and I heard her situation a little bit and something about me just stayed a little longer. And she told me, oh, this awful situation, like my psychologist and my therapist just say, you know what, I'll just, let me just get some Adderall and some like Xanax and this. And I was just like, you have a problem at home. You have a narcissistic husband at home, right? And you're in danger here. Let's just mask the problem. Let's mask the problem with something else. And so anyway, I'm digressing here. I just told her fix the problem first. So when we jump into like my opinions on whether or not men should, like there is man versus women or anything like this, or any kind of thinking about pickup artistry or the shit tests or things like this, I see red pill thinking, The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi and certain books like that go into that area. I see it as very separationalist, and I don't like it. It's for me, I'm such a believer in unity, and I'm such a believer that we have roles and archetypal thinking of going, a king and a queen, rather than like pulling it all the way back. And we've got this wounded, jaded man who looks at the feminine as dark, and it'll hurt you more. You can go along those thinking and maybe it'll help you for a little while, but eventually you will find it'll give you darkness. It'll give you pain. And that darkness and pain, you might make friends with other dark and pain people, but at some point in your life, you'll be like, I'm missing something. You're just missing a little bit of fucking love.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Did you read The Game when it came out?
I haven't read The Game.
So the thing is, most people don't read the whole book. That is not only The Game; it's most book. So The Game is so misunderstood because people skipped the last 3 pages, where if you don't want a spoiler alert, you should just press pause now. But when it comes to the end of the book, it was when he really found the woman that he really wanted to be with. The game didn't work. He needed to be himself. That was the whole fucking point with the whole book. But it just had this whole, what do you say, like subculture of men that was suffering. They were clueless. I could really see what they were going through because I was going through like all of the question marks. How do I even speak to a girl? How do I be attractive? How do I do, what do I do so a female is attracted to me? So there is this thing calls like social dynamics. It's not like a bad thing or an evil thing, or it doesn't like pit us against each other or something like that. But the book certainly had it us going towards more of a red pill thinking. I agree with you on that.
But the interesting thing here is, and I'm such of a person of like, what is expedient? What is the better way of getting to an answer? So
Yeah.
you might be right here. Okay, maybe the game plays into a certain point and goes, it can get us to that 10 that we were speaking about.
Mm.
But it might be getting us to 10 by going 100 plus 100 minus 90 plus 1,000 minus this. Like the thinking involved in it to get to 10 is a lot compared to learn who you are, go live your life, and it'll work out for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry about her, worry about you.
Yeah.
Be conscious in what your thoughts are,
Yeah.
and be the best human you can be. Go fucking live your life and go and chase those goals, and you will see a woman who is worthy of your goals, who has her own goals, and you'll find each other.
You are so freaking right on this point, because I've seen so many people not going the game route. They've been getting clearer goals, going after their dreams, and they become attractive as a result. And then you have
Exactly.
people gaming without having the vision, without going somewhere. They're just like low-life scumbags living in a shitty apartment or on a couch somewhere. But they've learned all of these tricks to get girls to get attracted to them, but they have like no substance underneath it all.
Exactly.
So
There is
they wound up feeling so like depleted and empty.
And look at the wasted years here. Let's say the game works for you and you finally get the woman that you fucking want, right?
Yeah, then you have nothing.
Then you have to build it from that point.
Yeah.
Why not just start it earlier? You will be more attractive. You will be happier. You'll be confident. You will be everything. You'll be everything. And I get this. Like, I'll speak on a more Eagles broad nest kind of view here. To get ideas out, we need to make controversy. I understand this for a fact, because there's under no circumstances would I think it is the best thing to put out reels saying, if you don't ask if you're asking where the scissors should go, that's going to ruin your marriage. My biggest reel at the moment, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
And the thing
but
is,
it's funny though.
it's funny, but the thing is, there is something about this.
Yeah.
That hook is sensationalized, it is larger than life, and it captures attention. I do that because I need to capture attention in order to achieve my mission. But if I was honest, 100% honest with you, there's a fuck ton of nuance missing from that. It is true, but there's a lot of nuance missing from that. And so I understand that there is a part of this when we wanting to make our mark in the world and want to do this. We often say things sensationalized, like the man who fucking writes the game. You tell me that he writes this whole book and then at the end he said it's meaningless. Not meaningless, but in the end it's like,
yeah, he needed to deprogram himself from like just gaming.
From that thinking. Yeah, okay.
From that whole journey.
So what he's done is very similar to a hook like I do.
Yeah.
You catch somebody, you spend time, maybe 10% will actually get the message. But that is how humanity works as well. And that's the hard thing that we have to face here is we play a lot more off of fear than we play off of love. Because under no circumstances, if I say, men, when you love your wife a little bit better, and not love better, actually, when you work as a team and you build on a team thinking, you will know where the scissors are. And you'll actually love to know where the scissors are because, buddy, you'll be present in your home and it's the best feeling ever. Fucking, how many views is that going to get?
Yeah, not even a half.
It might get 5.
Yeah. On a good day, yeah.
Versus 5.8 million on the first one. Like, there's a difference. And so I understand the dichotomy of it. I part of me always gets into thinking if I wish it wasn't so, but I also know humans well enough to know you have to catch humans. And I will make an impact because the moment they spend extra time with me, they'll see what I'm about.
For sure. You mentioned during the podcast a bunch of books. Could you recommend like 3 books if somebody's interested in to start looking into, maybe like imagine that this is the first podcast that they've listened to about men's work and they want to go dive deeper. Where should they start?
Okay, depend on their specific problem. If they feel like they're very passive in a relationship and they're getting defensive, triggered very easily, and they get a lot of like that kind of thinking, I would go read No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover, Dr. Robert Glover. That one's really good for that if you fall into those categories. If you're really struggling for meaning, if you're struggling for like, what do I do with my life? Go and read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. If you are really wanting to be a whole, if you're in a relationship, you might not be as like passive only. You might have some tendencies like that from Mr. Nice Guy, but you're really just wanting to make it all make a lot more sense about masculine and feminine dynamics. The Way of the Superior Man does that.
Yeah, I love that book. That was a game changer for me.
That's that. And I would finally say, like, if you want to, The Courage to Be Disliked with Adler Thinking is also a really good supplementary book for any of those as well.
All right, great booked suggestions here. Thank you so much. So did we miss anything? Is there anything you want to say?
we spoke a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the fundamental thing is like there are a million things to talk about in life, and there are a million things that we could do as being better husbands, better men, better whatever. The one thing I think that we're missing here and that we haven't spoken about a bit is the importance of men spending time with other men. The importance of men spending time with other men. Honestly, starting a men's group and a men's circle, it's one of the best things I've ever done. Because you actually spend time with like-minded men and you can actually build a community. I'm literally in the process of wanting to build, with 3 of the men that I started the men's group with, I want to build a company that we can actually, with the vision of getting every man in this earth having the opportunity to be part of a men's circle or a men's community, because it's very fundamental. And yeah, I would just say to everyone on there, go and find some of your friends, other men, and spend more time with them.
And it doesn't have to be like a men's group, a men's circle, or like.
I mean, there's power in those. There's power in those.
Yeah.
Because when you do that and you have a men's circle, you have like ability to have facilitation and you actually have safe spaces. So, for example, when you don't have a men's circle and you just spend time with other men, sometimes it can be flesh level or superficial. And a men's group or a men's circle is targeted for this. So the way that I facilitate is like we create rules, confidentiality. We create rules of accountability. Like you're speaking about yourself, not the world.
Yeah.
Okay. And no crosstalk of only feedback when requested. So you actually get to hear, you get to speak from your heart and not actually feel like you're going to be judged or whatever. But then whenever we do sessions where we talk to each other, it's about challenging, being honest and truthful. And then the final thing is like sovereignty. You can choose what you want. Some men just want to listen. But when you if you build a men's group with like those things in mind, and then you just let people speak on timed amounts, like There's something beautiful because we build trust and you actually are able to share things you're not able to share anywhere else. And often, very much like the stream of consciousness writing, you get to do that process, but with other men. And actually, it's proven with teenagers, but the effects still apply to adults here. Sharing stories in a circle environment is as effective of up to 6 months of therapy.
Wow.
Just one session.
That's so interesting. I
And
got
that's
it.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's beautiful. So we got to do that.
Yeah, we got to do that. And I got to share a personal story. Like first, when I started doing like just speaking in circles, like period, it wasn't even men's circle. I don't know. I just started crying every time. I was like, I'm fine, nothing. I'm like the most happiest guy I know. And then started speaking in circles. It's just like started pouring. I couldn't contain myself. So it's I can really see what you're saying, that it's like 6 months of therapy in one sitting.
Because you're doing something which therapy can't. Therapy is in a vacuum between you and the other person. And the one thing about therapy here is then, yes, you go hard and you go deep in your own problems, but you don't think that you're part of a collective.
Yeah,
you actually get further away from everyone else and you think that you are more fucked up than everyone else. But then just hear one fucked up story from someone else and you go, shit, he went through the same thing as I went. Or shit, he went through something worse than I did. Fuck, I'm not that bad. I'm okay. He's okay. I'm okay. This is good.
Imagine
and
being
you
the
get
most
to share.
fucked up dude in there.
Oh, look. Yeah, the guy with the wife cheating on him, the wife accusing him of rape in my group. We have jokes about him, like, because every time it's like, oh God, here he comes again. But the thing is, like, God, like, even if I look at his scenario, like, he's got a group of men that he's able to send a message going, guys, I won the court case. Fucking 35 men giving him a call and going, fucking congratulations, man.
Yeah, beautiful.
So happy for him. We had a big brunch and all of us like cheers to him. And like, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And we get around him. And it's actually, you want to talk about purpose and giving over to other people. Like, every one of us, even though he is the most quote unquote fucked in that situation, right? Every one of us has a sense of duty and honor for him. And isn't that fucking beautiful? And then now he's given back and he's a very, very successful businessman. So he gave back and did a whole fucking, like, everyone pitched their businesses and he told us how to make better revenue models. Like, how beautiful is that? It gives purpose. Purpose. So men need to spend time with other men. You got to make sure that you're not in a circle where people are just trying to sell themselves. It's quite important because that's fear-based thinking, and that. So there's strong rules that go in that. Like, as soon as you're in a group where people are just like, "Hi, my name's Alessandro. I'm going through. You know what? I'm not going through that much, but I read a book." And my book is about this, and here it is. And actually, in fact, I got a few copies. And you can get it for $9.99. It's like that cheapens the experience. You need that's why there's a little bit involved with it, but overall, if you can spend more time with other men and actually get to the heart of the matter and actually get to sharing, it'll fucking help you.
Yeah, I love that. And this is done in real life, not digitally.
Well, the business I'm working on, like, we might have to start it digitally, city by city, but then also create, like, in-person things as well. So I'm pretty sure we're going to start it here. But the thing is, I am such a huge believer in, like, as you spoke about, person to person, being able to hug someone if you need to, being able to have somebody, not even fucking hug, like just somebody putting their hand on your back if you're going through some shit. That's powerful. It's powerful. We don't have enough community nowadays. That's a big thing.
Yeah, I love that. And And I'm so grateful. I could like there's so many rabbit holes we could go into. There's so many segues, but the time is flying and I would love to do this again sometime and hear about when you have your kids, how that is going. It's gonna be a ride for sure. I thought I was prepared. It's gonna be a cool one. So
I'm looking forward to it too, man.
for people listening, how can they get in contact with you? What are you up to? And how
Hmm.
can people just engage or come to your seminars and stuff?
So I would say the number one thing is if you're a man out there that you're in a relationship and you want to become a better husband, I've got a free emails that I drop, like better husband in 2-minute emails. And in that I like every week I just give as much as I can. And I think that's the number one entryway in there. Like, you know, from that, if you want a little bit more, you can talk to me about one-on-one, or if you really like this idea of the of a rite of passage, and now is the time for you to get past those boy-like behaviors, like I would definitely set up a consultation call with me, and let's get you on that fucking trip in Sri Lanka. But the number one thing is I like to give as much as I can away for free, and that's would be done in my Better Husband emails.
All right, brother. So Alessandro Frosali, are you Italian?
My father was Italian.
Yeah, the name. So you were saying about Australia and
Yeah, my
born in
father
South
moved to
Africa.
my father moved to South Africa when he was 15 with his Italian family. So
Right,
then
because I was starting
that's
to start speak Italian with you in the beginning.
I know. Everyone, and again, I'm a fucking enigma with where I'm from. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, you
I live in
totally
Spain
had me
now as
off
well,
there.
you know?
And where in Mallorca
So,
are you at? Because we travel to Mallorca like every winter and we stay there for quite a while, me and my family. So we've been a lot in
interesting.
Calador and what was the last place? It was just like 20 minutes from Palma, but I love Mallorca.
Well, maybe off camera we can talk about where I live.
All right, yeah, sorry. Are we still recording? All right, bye everybody.